Today I'm making my video on one of the books I read. Another book that was too big really to try to read in a week. The Last Human, A Guide to 22 Species of Extinct Humans. Written by a few authors, not just one. This is a really interesting book. I read Sapiens earlier in the year, and I know this is a bit controversial for people who maybe love the religious outlook or maybe disagree with evolution. Each to their own. You're entitled to your own beliefs. I'm not here to try to persuade you either way. I'm just here to talk about a book. This book was written in, where's my publishing dates? (2007). Now, the thing that's really cool about this book is these pictures. And what they've done is they've actually used visual artists to take fossils and bones that they've found and slowly rebuild with musculature and skin what they thought these, I guess for a lack of a better term, they're hominids, right? But cave people look like. And it's amazing. It's super cool. They go through, I mean, the reconstructions themselves are so awesome. Just for that aspect of it is super cool. It really reads like, this is a new word that I learned reading this book, a paleoanthropological textbook. I knew there was anthropologists and I knew there was paleontologists, but I didn't know there was paleoanthropologists. So I thought that was pretty cool. Learned something new from that. What they do is they have like really interesting stories about experiences the fossils may have found. And then they go on to like quite interesting detail about so it discusses like the skull and the teeth and the diet that they might have had because of that, and then where their skulls meet the spine and brainstem, they can anticipate how they walked, and using the length of their arms and legs they can guess whether or not they walked on 4 limbs or 2 limbs and these sorts of things. It breaks down the period in which the period of time in which they found these fossils. So for example, the fossils of these lively looking characters came from, I think, where are we? So about 4 million years ago, which is, when we start thinking about it, it starts getting pretty mind-blowing. Just going through the photos and the climate in which each species existed is really interesting. It goes through whether or not they used tools, where the fossils were found, who found the information. It's really, if you're really like information focused, is really interesting. But I'm not going to read too much out of it. This is a little bit dry and a little bit boring. Some of the sections are really interesting because it discusses other animals that were found in that area at the same time. Just really like deep information about everything. I'll read a little bit. He was only 3 years old when he set eyes on the giant men. What struck him most was not how big they were, but the size of their heads and how long and thin their legs were. Those who saw the giant men when they first stepped on the island told stories that they arrived on hollow tree trunks from big water like giant fish. That was many years ago when there were still many elephants and giant lizards to hunt. Now that he was a man, the only elephants that remained were in the forested hills where his family lived. The giant men did not know that there were still elephants there, or they would have eaten them all. Today he was worried. He had picked up the trail of one of these giants close to his home. There was no mistaking the long, thin footprints they had left behind. He tried to determine from what direction the prints were coming, but lost in the trail of the rocky clearing, he climbed up a tree to get a better look and was able to spy a giant miles away walking through the clearing in the valley. So this is taken from This is an experience of a man who was, what does this say, 2.5 million years ago. So quite interesting. Excuse me. Less than 100,000 years ago. But anyway, it's Homo florensis. But anyway, a really interesting book. If you're interested in old school humans, this is you.